Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Allen, your host for HGTV's series of Community Champions. Despite the distresses COVID-19 has put on all our communities, we are witnessing a universal generosity from financial donations to volunteering to those who are just sharing their expertise that might support someone else getting back on track. At HGTV, our focus is always on you, our community, and during this pandemic, there's nothing different. We are highlighting extraordinary people who are making up our great community all across the state and basically telling the story of what the best of humanity looks like during a difficult time. Thank you for watching and stay safe. Hello everyone, I'm Lisa Allen for HGTV's Community Champions. Today we are talking resilience. I've spoken with so many people who are mentally struggling, physically struggling, spiritually and financially struggling. So I felt like resilience is the best topic we could be covering right now. And the best person to talk about resilience is Michael O'Brien. Michael O'Brien experienced a life-changing accident in his life, and it really put him on a whole new path. And I want to talk about his process and the metaphor it represents for all of us going through COVID today. Thank you so much for coming on, Michael.
Lisa, thanks for having me. This is my favorite topic, so I can't wait to get in it with you and talk about resilience and share some tips.
Thank you so much. How are you doing, by the way, through this whole COVID process?
Well, today we're doing great. But transparently, back in March, we believe as a family of four, we all had it. Now, you'll know, the listeners and viewers will know, that the testing in New Jersey wasn't that great in the middle of March. Still not that great, but it's better. So we don't know for certain if we had it or not, but we felt all the symptoms. So we think we had it. We're going to get tested for antibodies to make sure. So now that we have our health back, we're doing fine. But there was a moment, if we talked like 2 months ago, we were no bueno. It was not a good situation.
I'm so glad you're feeling better. And isn't it representative of all the things that you talk about and you live? So let's, just for the viewers, because your story had such an impact on me. You and I are friends. We've known each other for 7 years. And I want you to share your story and how it really led you to being where you are today.
Well, it was great to meet you in high school. So the 7 years have flown by, right? So yeah, my story, what I call my last bad day, which is not a story of unicorns and rainbows. It's the story when I got hit head on by a Ford Explorer when I was out riding my bike at a company offsite meeting. And I'm lucky to be alive. I broke a whole bunch of everything that morning, as one can imagine, being hit by an SUV going 40 miles an hour and me just on a 20-pound bicycle. So broke bones in my upper body, lower body, shattered the left femur, lacerated the femoral artery. Doctors told my wife, had I been 10 years older or not in shape, I certainly would have died before I got to the hospital. And as I came out of the ICU and I started thinking about my life, the doctors painted a pretty grim picture. They were like, you're going to have a lifetime of dependency. You're going to have a lot of pain and suffering, more surgeries, all that jazz. And I went to a pretty dark place. Now, before my accident, I was sort of living the American dream. I thought I was doing exactly what you had to do: work hard, get a career, nose to the grindstone, hustle and grind, do a lot of stuff in order to have a lot of stuff, and then you'll be happy. So that chasing happiness that so many of us go through right now, until that SUV hit me. Like, my world seemed pretty good. We had 2 young daughters, 3.5 years old, 7 months old. And then my world got turned upside down. And when the doctors painted this grim picture of where I was going, I wondered, well, who am I going to become? I knew I didn't want to go back to the old normal because I was repressing my stress. I was pushing it down. I was trying to be all happy on the outside, but I was really very stressed from the demands of corporate life on the inside. But if I couldn't be who I was, who was I going to become? And as I think about this moment with COVID, I think we're going through that as a nation. We're like, well, you know what? How we were doing it in the past, it wasn't working out. There were some good things, but maybe not so good things. But now we're in this moment of uncertainty. And I felt that uncertainty in the hospital bed as the doctors told me about my prognosis going forward. I wondered, like, oh my gosh, like, who will I become, and who will we become as a society? And I got nervous. I got worried. I was anxious, much like the nation is anxious right here today.
Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit what that process looked like, because you can't just on a dime. It's not like a light switch that you just turn it on or off. What was the process like to get there, though, to become who you become?
Yeah. Luckily, I had someone really wonderful in my life, and I was having a down moment. Like most of us right now have moments where we feel that backpack, and it's pretty heavy. There are more rocks in it today than say on March 8th. And he said, "Hey, Michael, all the events in your life are neutral until you label them." And I was like, "Huh?" I thought it was like a Star Wars Jedi mind, thing they was doing. He went on further, said, "Hey, nothing has meaning until you give it meaning. You're giving your accident the meaning that you're the victim, that this happened to you as opposed to it happening for you." So you can play that game. You can weave that story, Michael, if you choose. You can label this as, woe is you. This happened to you. You are the victim. Or you can find the resilience within you. He goes, "I know a thing or two about you. We've known each other for a few years." He's like, "There's resilience in you. I believe now there's resilience in all of us."
Mm.
We all made it through seventh grade. That's one big resilience test, right? So that's something that we can all tap into. And he said, you can label this completely different. You can give this a totally different meaning, that this happened for you. This happened so you could be a role model to others and helping others find their resilience that's within them. And so that moment was not a light switch by any means. It hasn't been a linear progression. It's been messy. There have been times where I've gone forward 3 steps, backwards 2. But that was a chance to point my eyes in a different direction. Right now with Corona, we see so much fear. We feel it, like the grim news, the loss and the suffering that we feel. So it's hard to see the opportunity in all this. It's hard to see the lemonade, if you will, that can be produced from all the lemons around us. But that moment really helped me shift my perspective, at least the beginning stages of it. So I can start looking maybe for some opportunity to build my new identity. And I took baby steps, and that's one of my recommendations is make small steps. And I tried to do that each and every day. The whole concept of, I'm going to get a little bit better tomorrow than I am today. I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get a little bit better tomorrow than today. And then you string a few of those days together and you start building something that you feel good about, that's resilient, and you have a different label.
It's interesting that you say that, because I think we all have something that we have to overcome. We can get derailed. The mind is a really powerful thing. It either works for us with courage, or it works against us with fear. Repeat after me and finish this sentence. Resilience is.
Resilience is agility. Resilience is bounce. It's learning. Resilience is wisdom. And I would say resilience is also beautiful.
Absolutely. And necessary for survival.
And in this moment in time, absolutely positively essential, vital. Like we can't get through this moment without resilience and without each other. We have to learn from this moment. Like, this is one big pause button. Although we don't feel like we've really paused, we're still pretty active. But what a great gift. Again, going back to, is this happening to us or for us? This pause button to say, hey, how have we been doing this? What's worked? Let's bring that forward. But if it wasn't working, let's leave that back, sort of Marie Kondo, that part of our lives. And then through resilience, we learn, we move in a different direction, and we create something better. And I think that's the really great opportunity in all of this, despite all the pain and suffering that's going on around us.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? You're an expert in this field. You've done a TEDx talk about your accident. You're an author. You've talked about, breaking through and transitioning and changing your life. You're a prolific blogger. You also have something called Your Last Bad Day. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, going back to like what we talked about from my mentor, that all of the events in our lives are neutral until we label them. So I was like, wow. Once I really absorbed it and I digested it and I got it because it took me a while to get it. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to label that day, July 11th, 2001, the day I got hit by that SUV. That's going to be my last bad day. And when a lot of people hear that for the first time, they're like, oh, wow, you've never had a bad day since. And I will say, no, I haven't. But let me explain a little bit more. I've had bad moments, many bad moments from that day forward to current day. But I never have had a bad day because I get to label my days. I get to see the positivity in my day. I get to see the gratitude in my day. My gratitude practice as I go to sleep each night helps me see what I still have, what I still can do. And if I have my family in my life, how can I say I had a bad day? Those are building blocks for potentially a better tomorrow. And so for me right now, having your last bad day is not a unicorn and rainbow type of thing. Because we live in a very practical world, right? We don't live in like fantasy land. So for me, having your last bad day is that day where you decide, I'm going to write a different script. Most of my life, up until my accident, I was following the script that I thought society wanted me to follow. What it meant to be a man, how to live your career, how to live your life. And I was following that script and I thought I was doing a pretty good job following it until I had my accident. But then I decided, wow, if I can change my labels, maybe I can change my script. And so now what I want to work with people on is how do you write your last bad day script where you decide you're going to write your script, your story, not following someone else's, not following society's version. You get to write your own story. And for me, that's empowering. There's a lot of resilience that's brought into that. There's who is in your peloton, who's around you, who is on your personal board of directors, if you will. So today, that's all about that, is writing your own script. And I think this moment in time is a perfect opportunity for so many people to start writing a different script that can help them create their better tomorrow.
Absolutely. How would they start? If someone wants to rewrite, they want to write a script, what's their, 1, 2, and 3 step? And, obviously briefly.
Sure. So first step is awareness. So we have to sort of sit with ourselves. Mindfulness is a great way to do that. It can be micro. It doesn't have to be 2-hour meditations, but having some stillness to think about, where do I want to be 6 months from now? Where do I want to be a year from now? So first step, awareness. Second step is acceptance, not intolerance, but accepting where we are today. So, hey, it's like this. I want to get over there, but I'm here. And now we decide, okay, what action do we want to take? And I'm a big believer in small steps, like micro steps each day, over time, days to days, weeks to weeks, months to months. That's where we see great progress. Certainly, we can make big change in a lightning bolt moment, but those are rare. Like even my accident was a lightning bolt moment. That was awareness. I was arguing with reality. I got acceptance.
Who won that argument?
yeah. Reality always wins. So does Mother Nature and karma and the whole shebang. But once I had acceptance, like, hey, this happened. Now what? What's next? And I decided I was going to make progress pedal stroke by pedal stroke, to use a cycling analogy, bit by bit. And that's how I think lasting success happens. That's how you can start writing your own story. So awareness, acceptance, small baby steps of action.
That's great advice. I'll tell you, I also think that being able to put everything in a smaller step, instead of looking at a goal, you have a goal here, but either you attain it or you don't. If you don't attain it, then you tell yourself why you're not good enough or you didn't work hard enough, why you didn't attain it. Yeah. When you attain it, and if you do, then it's like, oh, it's over. And you haven't really built who you are as a person along the way. You've just kind of focused on that goal, right?
Absolutely. We get attached to that outcome so much, and it becomes this binary proposition. Either we reach it, I'm happy. If I don't, I stink. Mm-hmm. And the stink is that self-narrative, because the next time you're like, who are you kidding? You can't do it. Last time you quit. Last time you couldn't do it. So by chunking down something as big as like creating the better normal through the coronavirus, that's like one of those big, hairy, audacious goals that the business leaders talk about. Like, that's huge. There's so many ways to create a better normal. Well, we have to take that big goal, that big vision, and chunk it down into smaller bite-sized pieces. If not, I think we're sort of destined to fail. We can have a big vision, but once we have that vision where we want to go, smaller steps over time together, I believe we can get to most of our goals then, or at least make considerable progress. And that helps change the conversation we start to have with ourselves. We believe we can make progress, we can build momentum. And that's really cool when that starts to happen.
It is. It's exciting. And as you're talking to, I'm thinking in every one of those little steps is habit. Part of success is habit. And if you aren't building continuity in your life, consistency in your life, I think it's easy to kind of get caught up in all the different stories you want to make up about yourself every day.
Yeah, habit. And I learned that a lot in the hospital. Habits drive our success, and habits also drive, our behavior where we miss the mark. We're in some bad habits, some automatic habits that we're not even conscious of. And so having this awareness, taking stock in where we are in this moment, like, okay, what habits are propelling me forward? Which habits are sort of an anchor to my success? And where do I want to adjust? That's all part of that process of writing a better script, having your last bad day story, if you will.
If there's somebody out there watching, I actually have a couple friends who've lost jobs. And they're in this head spin. What would the first 3 steps that you would tell them to do to kind of be able to start stepping forward and coming out of their fog?
I think it's so real. I love the example. I don't love the fact that you have friends that have lost their jobs, but I also have friends who have lost their jobs. So this is real world. First step, grab a PBR, but not the type of PBR that people might be thinking, not the Pabst Blue Ribbon type, the pause, breathe, and reflect kind. So when we're stressed, one of the best things we can do is just connect with our breath, slow everything down, and be present in this moment. Because when we're stressed, we're either worried about something that happened yesterday, or we have anxiety, or we're anxious about tomorrow. So be here now, connect with our breath. When it comes to finding a new job, it's who are you riding with? The people in your peloton. If people don't know what a peloton is, it's a group of cyclists in a bike race like the Tour de France. They're on different teams, but they all need each other to go down the road as fast as possible. And in this moment in time, we all need to be in the right peloton. And so by reaching out to the people in your peloton, maybe create a top 20 list of the people I can lean on right now that can ask for help and support to look for that new job, is to reach out to them and understand what you want them to do and support. I know a lot of people don't like to ask for help. They don't want to feel needy. But asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's a invitation, much like we talked about earlier, to connect. So grab your breath, reflect, be mindful of this moment, connect with the people in your peloton, and then go after the small wins that you may want to go after, the micro progress that can give you some momentum. Because once we've lost our job, that's a hard hit. That hits our identity, it hits our heart and our soul and our mind and all of that, because we put a lot into our job. So start off with some small wins, build momentum. And I'm going to add a fourth, if I could, Lisa. Absolutely. Cap off the day with a little bit of a gratitude practice. I do it right before bed. I think about the 3 things I'm most grateful for. You can even be grateful for this moment in time, which I know will be hard for folks, but sometimes our challenges bring forth the most growth. But you look at, like, okay, who's in my life? That conversation I had, maybe one of my friends decided to help me out. They did an introduction. Find those moments of gratitude before your head hits the pillow, because those are going to be your building blocks into tomorrow. And so I would start with those 4 to help anyone out. And then obviously, for anyone who wants to talk, I can talk more specifics, because we need to come through this moment together. And I think we all need to do what we can to help each other. And that's what I'm all about right now, is trying to help as many people, even outside of New Jersey, get through this moment.
Oh. Well, I think that is an extraordinary positive note to leave on. I think that you gave us so much to think about. And just for the viewers, one more time, those 3 steps: awareness,
acceptance, small action. So you can breathe, find out who's around you can tap into. Again, those small steps, and then a moment of gratitude as a building block into a better tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Michael. I enjoyed this conversation, and I hope that it's very helpful to everyone out there. And
Thank you, Lisa.
absolutely. And I'm so glad that you and your family are feeling better.
Yeah, we are too, because it was a little bit of a tough sled, as they say, but we're better. We did the right things. We're now practicing everything that you need to practice, like social distancing and all that jazz, and trying to role model the behavior that we want to see in everyone else. But yeah, we are very thankful that we're all healthy now.
Oh, well, have a great day. Thank you so much for your time. Oh, and one last thing, where do people find you?
Well, I'm right up here in Bergen County, but my website is michaelobrienshift.com, and it's one point of discovery. They can find me there and connect with me however they want to connect with me. Just michaelobrienshift.com.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael. Have a great day.
Thanks, Lisa. Be well.
Bye-bye.